Hi everyone, Matt here. Today we are going to take to the ladder with Abzan Midrange, a really fun interactive deck. Alright, we'll definitely play first, and we're up against the Yorion deck. So this opener is not ideal, as we have a few too many lands. The sweet spot's usually 2 or 3. We do have a couple creatures that will help us establish some early pressure. So I think I'm going to keep this, with the plan being a slightly unusual one of just curving out Pelt Collector into Preserver into Lurrus if we don't draw anything else, and trying to get underneath whatever they're trying to do. Typically you want to save Lurrus until you are in a position where you can potentially protect it, but with this specific opener against what we know to be a slower deck, I think it's really important that we apply maximum pressure to the opponent as quickly as possible. Alright, and Mythos, not bad. We already have our creature curve, so having the ability to answer their first threat is really nice. And going to main phase the Preserver to make sure that we are getting that +1/+1 counter on the Pelt Collector. Alright, I was expecting the Birth of Menace there, so we'll get one more unblocked turn before the wall can slow us down. And now we do actually get the luxury of being able to hold off on Lurrus, as we found another creature that has 3 power and can pump the Pelt Collector as well. So this is, I almost made a mistake there. We want to shock, because we're going to dump the extra point of power into the Wildborn Preserver as well. And this puts quite a nice clock on the opponent here. We'll take that action, and we will pay. And we definitely don't want to draw another land, so we're going to decline the option off the Glowspore Shaman. The Glowspore Shaman is often helpful in helping you find your third mana source or fixing your colors, but in this situation, we just want all action. We've got all the lands we need for the game. Alright, the opponent is on Birth of Menace and nothing else, thankfully. So here, we could blow up the wall to get in for 9 unblocked damage. We could Lurrus to make the Preserver a little bit larger, but that seems very dangerous. We could also just attack, getting in 6 points of damage, holding up Mythos for whatever they play. I believe that's actually our best bet. So yeah, the only downside to this is if their play is exactly Shatter, then they leave themselves at a higher life total. Yeah, I am going to just make this normal attack here. They can soak up 3 damage, but we put them to 6, and we have the ability to answer anything that they might do on their turn with the Mythos. Go ahead and grab a land so that we can play out Soul Guide Lantern as well. We'll grab another. Now, we don't really want the just white source. We have too many things that are black-green in our deck, so let's go ahead and grab another black source and play out the Lantern here. They're not getting that Fabled Passage back. Okay, and yeah, we'll just pass the turn here. No reason to add the Lurrus to the board. That is our insurance plan. So let's see if they do in fact have the Shatter. Now if they do, oh interesting, Fires first, so we can blow up the Fires. That seems pretty important actually. But depending on what they do, we might be able to set up. Alright, this is very interesting. Okay, we're going to allow this to resolve. And we have to figure out if there is a way that we can somehow set up a lethal attack on this turn. I don't quite think there is, because even if we take out one of the walls, we're not going to have the ability to pump the Preserver enough. Because they could block it with the other wall, and we only get in for 6 there. So we're going to play a little bit conservatively and take out these fires to limit the damage that they can do next turn. Okay, so we've got another Glow Spore Shaman here, so I believe the best play would be playing this out, making a very large Wildborn Preserver. We'll take that action. And I'm wondering if we should make it a 5/5 so that we also can draw a card off the Soul Guide Lantern. I don't see a huge difference between a 5/5 and a 6/6 here. So I think I'm going to go for this, and it'll leave us the ability to draw an extra card off of the Lantern at the end of the opponent's turn. And still I'm not looking to hit a land, so we'll decline that. And this does give them the option of just blocking the 2 3/3s and taking 5 damage. But I don't think there's any real difference between them being at 3 life or at 2 life. And they are going to go back up to 5 here. Alright, so let's see what they've got. They can play out Yorion. Yeah, and I definitely like that that is their play for the turn. It just means that they're going to be drawing an additional card. And we're going to be able to sneak through 3 damage here. And if we can draw a removal spell off of this Soul Guide Lantern or our natural draw step, we have lethal. So if we hit a land, one play that we have to consider is playing Luris, playing Soul Guide Lantern, and drawing a card. Unfortunately, we'd be 1 mana shy of playing Luris, Soul Guide Lantern, draw a card, and being able to cast the Assassin's Trophy. So let's see, what else do we have in the yard here? So we could start Lurising back some things. Could also just play Fiend Artisan. I think this is the best play for a couple different reasons. So one, we're going to be able to dump even more mana into the Wildborn Preserver, making it gigantic. It saves Luris as our backup plan, but also it gives us the ability to fetch up Alseid of Life's Bounty next turn, which will help us punch through a lethal attack by giving protection. Alright, so let's take the action, and we'll make the 8/8 Wildborn Preserver. And we'll just play this out tapped. Again, I don't see a huge difference between 8/8 and 9/9 here. And yeah, let's go ahead and swing in with everybody, I believe, as they have to block the Preserver. So Yorion can eat the Pelt Collector, they can block a Preserver and a Glow Spore and go to 2. So yeah, even if we had made the Preserver slightly larger last turn, they would be going to 1. It would not be lethal, so it's effectively the same, and I do think it was better that we drew the card off of the Lantern. Alright, so unfortunately the wall does a fairly good job of stopping the Alseid of Life's Bounty plan, but we still have 4 lethal attackers out that they have to account for. Okay. So they've cleared the board, but we can rebuild now with Luris, and we have Mythos to deal with their follow-up. They definitely have found all of their walls this game. Okay, so let's go Luris first. And so many different options here. I'm leaning towards Fiend Artisan, as it's just super large. The other one I would consider is Knight as Hero of Precinct 1, as a way to start cranking out some 1/1s. I believe Fiend Artisan is better. Yeah, let's go for that. Okay. And one small advantage of Fiend Artisan is that if they do shatter the sky here, at least we'll get to draw a card. But a second shatter does put us in a tough spot. Yeah, so they have to take out the Luris. And now we can Mythos away the wall and get in for lethal, unless they have some other follow-up, which they don't. Okay, so goodbye to the wall. And let's crack in. So I do suspect that this particular Yorion deck is the Lukka Agent of Treachery deck, which makes me want to bring in the Hushbringers as a way to shut down that combo. It also shuts down Yorion. So I think I am going to bring in 2 of the Hushbringers. Let's start by cutting 2 Soul Guide Lanterns. This is good for getting rid of an Elspeth Conqueror's Death target, and potentially as a card draw with Luris. But the Hushbringers are going to have a much bigger impact on the match overall. And then other cards I'm considering bringing in are the Duresses as a way to kind of pick off their more impactful non-creature cards, which is pretty much all of their deck. And even potentially Noxious Grasp to hit things like Teferi, like Yorion. But I don't think I actually want to bring them in against this particular deck. Let's go ahead and bring in the 3 Duresses as well. And one thing that this deck does have is a lot of ways to block smaller creatures, not only the walls, but also the tokens from Omen of the Sun. So that makes me value our 1 toughness creatures a little bit less. I think I'm going to cut the Mire Tritons, as they don't do anything to fix our mana. We don't really need the Death Touch as a blocker. And then potentially we should cut a single Glowspore Shaman, or a Shevil Bane of Monsters. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to cut the Shevil because I really want to make sure that we still have enough high power creatures to pressure them early on. So this looks like a formation that makes sense to me. Let's go ahead and run it back. And this is a little bit on the slow side. We only have 1 early creature. But having 2 Duresses in our opener should be a good way to slow them down as well. So I am going to keep this. I do wish we had a little bit more early action. So the game plan is likely to Duress and then follow it up with Fiend Artisan, depending on what we see. Oh, this changes things. Definitely go into shock and get the Pelt Collector down. Even if they have a wall on turn 2, that's not really the target we're looking to pick off with Duress. Okay, Omen of the Forge is a little bit worse for us. So I think here I actually am going to Duress because Teferi could be coming down. Let's go ahead and see if we can take that Teferi out of their hand. Okay, so Birth, Fires, Omen, and 1 land. So if they didn't have both Birth and Omen, I'd be very tempted to take 1 to try to pinch them on lands. We do have another Duress in hand to pick off the Fires before they are able to play it. So I'm wondering if we're supposed to take Birth here so that they don't get an early blocker going at least. Could also consider Omen just to limit the amount of action they're able to draw. Yeah, I'm actually going to pick off the Omen here, as this way when Yorion comes down, it's not going to have as big of an impact. And let's go ahead and just shock ourselves and take the... Yeah, I'm going to take Birth here. So here's the reason. When they do finally get mana for Fires, they don't currently have another 4-drop in hand, and we can Mythos the Fires before they're able to really start using it. So they're going to sacrifice Omen of the Forest to try to scry into that next land. Let's get Fiend Artisan down here. And then if they play fires, unless they also just drew a 4-drop, it won't do anything, and we can blow it up with Mythos and start attacking them down. Okay, so they didn't actually scry, which is a little surprising. They must have drawn the land naturally. And they've chosen to birth instead of fires and then birth, so maybe they are wise to the fact that we can blow up the fires and are going to try to use it in a different way, like landing at the same turn as Yorion. Okay. Well, here, I think we are going to want to cycle this Triome at some point. So let's just play this out tapped and hold up Mythos. But I do like their play of holding off on the fires until they can get immediate use out of it. And they are going to be able to bounce the Omen to kill the Fiend Artisan, unfortunately. Okay. And this does put them up to the mana for the Dream Trawler as well, so we'll need to figure out a way to deal with that. But yeah, let's go ahead and blow up fires, I believe. That just seems like a really big long-term threat. It's going to be difficult to get past what they have on the board, though. Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't think the combination of cards in hand is going to do it, as Dream Trawler comes down next turn. So we can replay Luris and then grab a Fiend Artisan, but I don't really see a way out of it at this point, because they're always going to have enough cards in hand to protect the Trawler. We'll play out another turn or two. There is a very small chance that we can somehow get the Wildborn Preserver large enough and ambush the Dream Trawler. It's kind of the only out that I can think of. The tricky part is, in order to grow the Preserver, we would have to draw it and then... Oh, okay. So the Clarion will do it. Let's go on to game 3 there. They definitely erased our only hope. And I still think I like the setup that we have. It feels like Duress is really strong in the match. I like having that one Soul Guide Lantern as a way to pick off their Elspeth Conqueror's Death targets, as well as potentially to draw some extra cards when we're running low. And yeah, I don't see any other changes that I would like to make, so let's run this again. Alright, being on the play certainly gives us a better chance to be aggressive, and this is certainly a keep as well. The Glowspore Shaman into Fiend Artisan will put an early clock on the opponent. I do believe it is correct to play them in that order, as the Glowspore Shaman being a guaranteed 3 power, versus the Fiend Artisan, which is going to take a couple turns to get up to 3 power, is just more early damage that you can count on. Alright, and we'll play this out tapped. Don't mind having the Mythos here as our all-purpose answer. And I don't think I want to draw this land. I'd like to try to continue to hit some more action. We have 2 more lands in hand already. But this hitting the 2 creatures was nice, as we have a couple more 3/3s in wait. Alright, so here actually, we're going to go ahead and play the Skull Prophet, as it maximizes our mana for next turn. And I can't actually grow the Fiend Artisan out of Clarion range right now. But if they do wipe our board, while it is not good for us, that does give us some very large Fiend Artisans to start beating down with. And if they don't wipe the board, very likely we're going to swing in with both of our creatures and then play both the Fiend Artisans off of our lands. Okay, so I have the strong suspicion that a 1/1 shark is about to hit the battlefield and ambush our Skull Prophet. So this is a little bit tricky. One option would be to Mythos the 1/1 shark token. That does not seem like a good use of our resources. I believe our best bet is just to attack in, acknowledge that they're going to eat the Skull Prophet, but get in our 3 points of damage, and then play a couple 4/4s, and unless they have exactly Shatter next turn, it puts us in a really strong position. If they do have Shatter next turn, I don't know there's a good way for us to play around that. At least we have Lurrus to rebuild. So yeah, let's go ahead and swing on in. One upshot of what's going to happen is not only are our Fiend Artisans growing, but because we haven't played out this Hushbringer yet, we are going to be able... Ooh, okay. So this is worse than the 1/1 shark as it eats both of our creatures. But we still get 2 very large Fiend Artisans down. And yeah, as long as there's no Shatter coming up, we, I think, are still in a good spot. So let's see what the opponent has in store. And yeah, what I was going to say is that we can play the Hushbringer before Yorion hits, so at least Yorion's not going to be able to pick up things for value. And if Fires comes down now, depending on what the follow-up is, we may be able to pick off the Fires and potentially even still get Hushbringer down if we draw a land. Alright, so we are getting Shattered here. Let's go ahead and... Oh, okay. So we can Lurrus plus bring back a Fiend Artisan. That does leave them open the opportunity of bouncing the Omen of the Sun with a Yorion. But I think us having Fiend Artisan out is really powerful. I don't see a better way to pressure them. Just playing a Hushbringer here and having 1 power on the board does not seem like the path to victory. And luckily they don't have any tokens currently, so we're not worried about Lukka coming down to polymorph one of them into the Agent of Treachery. So we can rest easy for a turn in terms of that threat. Okay, so they do get to take out our Lurrus, which means our value engine is gone until we can find a Call of the Dark Dweller. I don't love that they shocked themselves for this. That feels like another Omen of the Sun is coming down. But let's go ahead and attack with our Fiend Artisan. We can play out Skull Prophet plus Hushbringer. I wonder what they have here. I'm not actually sure. What would they have shocked for? Could have been a misclick, but that feels unlikely. Okay, let's lead with the Skull Prophet, because if for some reason they're playing counter magic, I would rather get this countered. Although if it's exactly Mystical Dispute, that would hit the Hushbringer here, but we're not playing blue, so I can't imagine it is Mystical Dispute. Alright, let's go ahead and Hushbringer it up and hope for the best. Of note, we still have our Mythos in hand, so we can deal with 1 large threat. And the Fiend Artisan is well out of Clarion range at this point. Alright, Alright, so I guess the idea is that they do have Lukka in hand. That's the only reason they wouldn't have chump blocked the Artisan that I can think of. But now, they're not going to have the mana to play Lukka and remove the Hushbringer. So we shut down that plan pretty nicely, I think. You know, we can just play this out tapped here. But yeah, this has to mean that they have Lukka in hand. Otherwise, I think they would have soaked up the damage from the Fiend Artisan, as just the 1/1 token doesn't really present much of a threat. Alright, yeah, so they're reading over that Hushbringer, I think further confirming our suspicion. This shuts down both Lukka and Yorion. So I'm wondering if they have a way to clear the board. They don't, okay. And yeah, this actually will do it, because the Fires means that they are locked out of playing anything during our turn, so we are going to be able to Mythos away the 1/1 Shark and get in for lethal. Yeah, even if they play a land here, cycling a Shark Typhoon does not do enough to make them a creature. It will just cycle for a card. So, a good matchup against the top deck in the format currently, and showing off some of the versatility, I think, of this Abzan Midrange list. So that makes it really fun to play. A lot of interesting choices. So, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider a like or a subscribe below. And I'll be back soon with some more Abzan Midrange content. Bye.